So on Thursday, the EFF Students' Command Council expelled one of its members, Kganki Mphahlele, for bringing the organization and its leaders into disrepute. This decision follows Mphahlele's critical comments about EFF leader Julius Malema on X. In his post, Mphahlele accused Malema of attempting to impose Godrich Gardee as the party's deputy president. He further stated that EFF branches preferred Dr Mbuyiseni Ndlozi for the deputy president position. To help us unpack disagreements within political organizations, I'm now joined by leadership specialist Prof. Mazwe Majola. Thanks so much for your time, Prof. So I'm going to ask you this direct question. Having seen what has unfolded throughout the course of the week, your take, how should politicians handle disagreements, particularly in the context of the government of national unity?
Good morning, Mpolise. Thank you very much. Well, with regard to government of national unity, they will need what we'll call a collaborative competition. This is a healthy competition because remember that you are dealing here with different parties coming from different organizations with different histories, backgrounds, cultures, values, traditions, leadership styles, policies. So they are quite diverse. And now you want this diverse, or you want to converge these diverse people. You need dispassionate leadership. You need very matured leadership there. There will always be differences. There will always be tensions, but they can solve them by talking, and just making sure that they are all committed to the cause of making this GNU to work.
And how should the leaders of political parties address differences with their members, especially during disputes that happen on social media? Because some might even think these are arguments or disagreements that happen on a superficial platform. How do they really come together and find common ground?
Oh, yes. I mean, political organizations have constitutions, and they have values, and they have processes and procedures. So ill-disciplined members or disrespectful leaders, of course they must be disciplined because there should be internal processes of handling certain situations. But you must always read into this and see that whenever members take certain internal issues public or to social media, it reflects on that particular party in terms of the culture, in terms of in terms of what the leadership style of that culture. Mostly, if a party is led by a fear-based leadership style or culture, that will stifle negotiations or talking inside or discussions, and then to the point of members becoming discouraged and demoralized and delusioned, and then they'll find themselves expressing themselves outside of the party because internally the environment does not allow them to talk freely. And unfortunately, that will always cause frictions and tensions between members and the leadership.
And Prof, still on that, just how do internal disagreements impact the success of political parties?
Look, organizations are like human beings. They grow, they mature, you know. And it is very important that leaders and members must understand that we are here in this organization, and there will be time where you'll disagree. And most of the organizations, they do have some conflict resolutions dispute mechanisms within the parties. So if you want to lodge a certain dispute, you go to this so and so, and then from there, if you are not your matter, you feel that your matter was not handled satisfactorily, you'll move it to someone, and so there will be that. But as I'm saying that, it's up to a leader to make sure that he or she creates an atmosphere or an environment whereby members are free to express themselves. Because as soon as they are not free to express themselves, then they'll become, or rather they'll go out, and then that will be seen as putting an organization into disrepute or disrespectful, whereas just because maybe the atmosphere is not conducive for them to handle it correctly. However, there will always be other members that are just ill-disciplined, who will not follow the proper procedures of organization. Those one, of course, must be disciplined, because an organization is there, as I've said, with its values and constitution, and all organization wants to keep and maintain its or her brand and reputation, so they would allow anyone just to do as they please. So it's very important to have that communication and have that collaboration, and also the culture is the most important thing in an organization. Are members free enough to view or to express themselves? If they are not, definitely they'll be demotivated and disillusioned, and they'll go outside, and that will be messy when that happens.
And tell you what, Prof, you actually just weaved in my next question with that point that you just made, looking at what happened during the week. So Kganki Mphahlele, a former member of the Economic Freedom Fighters Student Command, was expelled from the party after a heated online exchange with EFF leader Julius Malema. Let's hear from you. What is your opinion on Malema's response to Mphahlele? Because you just touched on a very important aspect, which is that point of leadership and navigating conflict.
Yeah, I think it would be unfair to talk about Malema's response to Mphahlele without talking about what caused that response, what Mphahlele did. I think the young man, there was it seems like there was an element of disrespect there, or disrespectful there, and of ill discipline, that the way he really addressed his leader, the way he spoke. Young people, maybe because of their passion and energy, but also, as I said, maybe because of frustration that they want Ndlozi, and they seem that the leadership is imposing. Whether that is correct or not, they're imposing Gardee. So, and that but the wording there, if you read those texts, you can see that really it's a young man that needs to be coached or mentored somehow. Now, coming from Malema, I think definitely it was a bit harsh to expel a member just like that. Unless really you always wanted to expel that person, you didn't want that person anymore, because human beings will always make mistakes, especially members in the organization. So if there's anyone who has made a mistake, you'll find a way using internal structures to assist that member, and also to try to discipline that member in a positive way. So I think there was some an element of harshness there. It seems like Malema, since the departure of Flood, or even since the exodus of many leaders and members that have left EFF for MK party, he has definitely become very fearful and very trust, or rather, and lack trust. So it's like he doesn't know who will be the next, or what's going to be next. And you can see that it's got this severe paranoia around him that now if you want to go, you can go, or I'm going to discipline you, I'm going to do this or punish you. It's a leadership by fear that we see there in EFF at the moment, which is not good. I think Malema must just accept as a leader that organizations grow, and as they grow, there are members that will outgrow an organization. And also, even the organization, there will be time when the organization will outgrow certain members. So it's inevitable that members will leave. It's not nice. It's very painful. I know as a leader, when you've been surrounded by certain people, and then all of a sudden you are losing those people. But leadership, it's about it's about stomaching that. You've got to be bold and strong, and be willing to go on even during very, very difficult times. So I just feel that Malema must try to really to accept that it's just a phase. I don't think it will happen all the time. It's just a phase. This will pass. So, but it will depend on how he responds to it. If he responds to it badly, he's going to lose more members. But if he responds to it in a healthy way, in a good way, he will retain even those ones who were contemplating of leaving. They will come to their senses and say, hey, no, man. There's no perfect organization, because even those who are leaving EFF to MK party, in a week or month or so, they will soon realize that, hey, no, there's no perfect organization. You leave from here because of certain reasons. You go there, you'll find other reasons. So it's a matter of knowing as a member what exactly you want and where you can get that from, which organization you can belong to. So that is very, very important, just to fix the culture in the EFF organization, but also that leadership style of Julius Malema.
And Prof, just before I let you go now, President Cyril Ramaphosa initiated a process to address disagreements amongst parties. This is in order to prevent a crisis within the government of national unity. So how should the parties in the GNU respond to this initiative? What's your take?
Well, I know that they are mooting this technical committee that will help in resolving tensions and conflicts within the parties. I just wonder, though, if really this technical committee will be effective the way it's structured, because it seems like it's led by the Deputy Minister, Paul Mashatile, who's coming from the ANC. I would have preferred that a committee like this become independent, or even if it's not completely independent, you can still find people coming from these parties, but not the ones who are leaders. You could go, find maybe eminent leaders who have led organizations before, or we have left these organizations before, and then ask those people to sit in that committee, so that you get this wisdom from these people. Now, when these ones are trying to discipline themselves, it will be like it's like players and referees playing the same time. Whereas if you've got certain people who are coming from outside, coming objectively and independently, whenever there is a problem, among these people, it's sent to those people, or it's cascaded to those people, and those people, or that committee made up of these eminent, well-respected leaders. It could be certain academics or even retired former politicians, but very, very experienced people who will be able to deal with conflict. Also, people will be able to commit and to assist the GNU to be effective, because the country needs the government, and you cannot have the government that is always disagreeing among itself. But also, lastly, President must become very, very decisive and assertive here, because remember that the president is the one who appointed these ministers, and he is the leader of government. So it's very important that when it comes to government issues, all these leaders, even though they are, or rather all these ministers, even though they are leaders of different political parties, but they must know that here in government, they are cabinet ministers, and they are under the leadership of the president, who is President Cyril Ramaphosa. So he must be very decisive and assertive. Otherwise, this will give credence to a perception that says government of national unity is led by ANC, but controlled by DA, which is not good. It must be known that the person who is leading the government is President Ramaphosa.